Okay. The oracle card that I'm using comes from the deck called the Sacred Path, and it's based on Native American teachings and wisdom. And the card I pulled for you, Gemini, is the Burden Basket, a card of self-reliance. So this is asking you to release some of the self-imposed burdens that you place on yourself. This could be going on like just within your own consciousness, your own mind, maybe expectations that you have set up for yourself that are no longer serving you. We can release some of those. And it's also asking that you, in difficult situations in your daily life, or challenging situations where you feel like you don't know what the answer is, dig deeper. Don't rely on others to give you answers. This is about your inner strength, your self-reliance, and your ability to address and release burdensome thoughts and feelings that you carry. Okay? And then also not letting others lean too heavily on you. Like this is more of a self-reliant lesson for you and those around you. Okay? We all carry burdens, but we should really only be carrying those that we choose to carry, right? Like, say some may feel that holding down 2 jobs and going to school is burdensome, but that's a choice you're making, right? In order to achieve a goal. So in that, your power is behind all of it, and you can take on what you choose. It's a matter of opening up your consciousness and realizing that you are, definitively choosing these things. And so the burdens that you're carrying that are extra weight, you're also choosing that. Okay, that's sometimes tough for people to hear. It's like, yeah, I didn't choose. Well, you may not choose the events that happen to you, because that's more random. That's life, coming at you. You may not choose that, but you do choose how strongly and how long you hold on to it. Okay? If it's burdensome, if it's a negative, heavier energy, it's your choice to release it or not. Okay? And this is calling upon you to define what you're willing to put up with. What bullshit am I willing to put up with right now? And what am I done with? Right? And this is your opportunity to let go of those things you're done with. Okay? Love it. All right, Gemini. So this is the tree spread. I'm using the Zen Tarot deck to elaborate on this topic. The bottom branch here is where you stand now. And then we use the trunk energy to sort of transform that and create a new level of awareness for ourselves. Left side cards here are internal energies that are sometimes hidden from others, but that you're completely aware of. And right side cards are external energies, or how some of these processes manifest in our daily life. Okay? Starting point, Gemini, as it relates to our burdens. Oh yeah, projections. Your problems are not the problems of others, and theirs are not yours. Any expectations that are out there that people have of you or that you have of them really need to be dropped, because that in itself is creating a burden, because we cannot define or act for anyone. We cannot define what we want. We can't act upon what we want for anyone but ourselves. And when you have others expecting so much from you, that becomes a burden in itself. Because if it's not organic to what your desires are, it's just creating, you're sort of like digging a hole in place. And you're like, I'm going to dig a little hole, and then give me your expectations and let me hold them in my hand so they weigh me down and push me further into the hole. And then here comes my, feelings of guilt or shortcomings that are not measuring up to what these people expect. So give me a little more weight in my burden basket and I can sink further into the hole, right? That's not productive. Your work is to not completely shun, but not completely absorb those expectations coming from outside of yourself. Okay? You can acknowledge that others think this is better for you or this is best, but it doesn't have to be your life. You don't have to carry that. Okay? So this is your starting point. If some of you are feeling this, I'd be interested to know. If you're not really feeling this right now, it's just going to be a gentle reminder for when some of these experiences come into your life in the future, because they will. I mean, people are, we're human. And, even between like me and my children, I have ways in my mind that I think, I'm going to walk in the room and it's going to be sparkling clean, right? But it's not all the time. And my expectation of that isn't theirs. They're willing to be sloppy for a week or so and then they'll clean it up, right? So I'm not, that's more of a lighthearted way of seeing it, but this is a great template for anyone who comes upon, a clash of expectations that create a burdensome energy, okay? Internally within you, you're reminded that this very moment is all that matters. So those burdens have a way, I love it, because especially burdensome like thoughts, like repetitive thoughts that we have that just sort of won't leave us alone. That's kind of, thoughts are either worrying yourself into the future, worrying about the future, or dwelling on stuff that's happened in the past. That's mostly what thoughts do. They're recalling memories or, creating imagination. And your work when it comes to releasing your internal burdens is to be more present now. Like, there's nothing I can really do about Susie expecting this from me right now. I can just sit and know all is well. I can focus on, drinking my cup of tea or doing my dishes, or I can look out the window and focus on the trees I see. That moment right now is what you want to be more in tune with. Okay? And trust that in the next moment, the spark of idea will come to you on how to solve a problem, or in the next moment, someone will send you their, outpouring of love and you can receive that fully. Just every moment right now, the presence of now is really important for you at this time. That will help you release the burdens in and of itself, but also give you a practice for the future when this stuff occurs again. Externally, it's asking you to share your intentions and experiences as it relates to releasing burdens, to share that with others. So in some cases, it may be like, hold that close. Let's not let it out. Let's just make this an inside job. You can do the work. And like I said earlier, you can do this work on your own without relying and leaning too heavily on others, but it doesn't mean you cannot involve and inform others of your intention. My intention is to, clear away my negative self-talk to the point where, the scales are so tipped that my positive internal conversation is overriding anything that I used to say negatively about myself or something. You can tell a friend that that's your intention, or you can join a group with similar likes, a meditation group or some kind of a participatory endeavor that helps to redefine. And, you could get into group therapy, or you could get into therapy to work on some of these internal burdens. It's a definite need is to share your experience with others. It doesn't mean rely on them and make them give you the answer, right? Because we're talking about undoing that for ourselves and really learning to be self-reliant, but allow others in the process. Okay. All right. Trump card here. This is our transformative card. This is our energy to master in order to move forward. And that is this Beyond Illusion card. This is transformative. I just said transformative, and then you see a butterfly transforming from this human being. So your perception of these burdens, your burden basket, right? Your perception of that is, it's not reality all the time. A lot of times the way we see our burdens is, this is just such a problem. This is just such a problem. This is such a, like you focus on the problem of it and how hard it is to deal with. When what you want to do is shift that, and it's all an illusion, because if you shift your perception and say, what is the next solution? What can I do to get me toward the solution? If you focus on solutions as opposed to the problem, you're moving beyond it. You're moving beyond the burden and you're allowing it to fall away. So this, the way you see it is most important in how you're going to experience it, right? So make sure that you're knowing, and this card also highlights the third eye. So make sure you're tapping into your intuition and knowing, I can transform this situation by focusing more on solutions, by focusing more on what's best for me, by allowing these burdensome thoughts that are bringing me nowhere and maybe are just habitual at this time, allowing those to fall away. I can transform this experience. And once you get that, once you start to, transform aspects of it, the rest follows quickly. Okay? And then what you have next, yes, is the sense of open possibilities. The sense of I can achieve, I can do anything, I can reach any goal. As long as I'm not burdening myself with the why I can't, the have-nots, and creating a space by dumping some of those burdens away. And most of these are going to be persistent thoughts within you. Knowing I can do this on my own, and it just creates a wide open field. You have this card, this is the eagle looking down on the landscape, as opposed to the little creature, the mouse or the rodent down on the bottom, who's just seeing blades of grass and insects around him, because that's his whole experience. That's his whole existence. But what you're being called to do is release some of that heavier path blocking energy and see the big picture. It's all possible. You can see it all. The whole landscape, the fields, the sunset, the forest, the river, the mountain, the valley, all of it. You can see all of what can be possible for you. That's when you're really, really operating with an open heart and an open mind. Underneath this all and within you, you're getting a sense that along the course of your life, there is no one right or wrong direction. There's only this moment, just like this card here, the moment to moment, and what choice do I make next? And then there's this moment, and what am I going to do next? What am I going to bring about next? I love that the two internal energies are kind of micro and macro vision of your path, right? The moment to moment card is this figure standing on one boulder and knowing that the next one will be there when he needs it. And then the macro vision is the traveling card saying, all in all, you're on this tiny, tiny, tiny spot of your entire journey. And there's so much behind you and so much more to come. It's actually never ending. And so I love those two aspects that are within you that you're realizing simultaneously. It's beautiful. And releasing yourself from those expectations of others is really the first step. That's the key, because that's what's going to bring about all this other awareness that opens up your mind, opens up your heart, and lets go of that shit. Excuse me. I've been cussing a lot today. Let's go of that crap that's weighing you down, literally, your burden basket. In the external world, you may come upon people, and that could be some of these same people with the projections and the expectations of you, that are watching you as you sort of drop burdens and might not love it. They might think, oh, okay, that's wrong. You're not doing that right. How could you drop that responsibility from your life when maybe it's something that you felt was weighing you down, and that you're going to release it and just allow Like maybe it's a child you're raising who is coming of an age that they can be autonomous and on their own, and you're just going to drop that need to control it. Other people might see that as a big mistake, right? But for you, you know better. If it feels burdensome for you to hang on to that sort of um, directorial energy toward another, if you know that's a burden on you and you feel that they can sprout their wings and be on their own just fine without your input, then you can release that need to give all that input all the time. And that, but there may be some in your life that think, no, 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 you got to stay on, you got to keep them in line, when, you know within you intrinsically what's best for you. And what's best for you is usually best for the other as well. So your work, your self-reliance creates their self-reliance, right? And then the insight or the outcome to this reading is the We Are the World card. This tells me that you are, as a result of dropping some things from your burden basket, as a result of that, and you become more open-hearted, more aware, more hopeful for things to come, you're tapping into that collective consciousness. You're tapping into that oneness, that thread that keeps us all connected. And that gives you a really beautiful opened up energy in order to achieve things in your future without that weight of the current burdens that you're carrying. Self-reliance, but doing it yourself, but knowing you're supported by spirit as well.